This is Robert from Parastream Technologies. If you're the owner of a CX-3 that needs repair, you've come to the right place. In this video, we'll show you how to remove the main board from your CX-3 so you can send it to us for repair. All you'll need is a number 2 Phillips screwdriver and a 15mm socket driver. And if you don't have a socket driver, you could just use a pair of pliers. To get inside, we must remove these 3 screws from the back and these 4 screws from the top. Alright, now that all of the screws are loose, let's set them aside together so we can keep them with the top part when we're done. Now you should be able to lift the top part off and expose the insides. Next, we need to remove the escutcheon from in front of the drawbars to get to the remaining components inside. There are 2, 3, 4 black screws holding it down, and the easiest way to tell which ones need removing is look at the notches. So let's remove these. And this pulls straight up very carefully, and set that aside. And as usual, save the screws together. Now we are going to remove the drawbar assembly to expose the main board. There are a series of screws around the perimeter, and we will begin by removing them. And we'll put these screws aside. And now we will very carefully lift the drawbars off and turn them over and let them rest on the opposite side. And now the main board is exposed. So next we are going to free the drawbar assembly from the main board by removing these two connectors. And now the drawbar assembly should just lift straight out, and we'll set that aside. Next, we are going to remove the remainder of the connectors on the main board. So all the connectors are free. Now on the back side, there are two screws, one on either side of the MIDI connectors, and these 5 signal jacks need to be freed from the back. So we need to remove these 2 screws and these 5 nuts holding the signal jacks in. Didn't come quite out. Here we go. Take this one out. And now is when we need our 15mm nut driver. To take the nuts off. Usually these are just finger tight because they're just plastic. If you torque them too much, you'll probably strip them. So I find just a socket from a socket wrench just in my hand does the trick. If you don't have a 15mm socket or a nut driver, you can always very carefully use a pair of pliers just to get them broken loose and then turn them with your fingers. So now the last thing holding the main board in are these 4 screws in the back. So we'll remove them. Lastly, push the harness out of the way so I can get to it. And the best technique to get it out is to take the sides of the board, push it towards the key bed as far as you can until the jacks are free, then lift up, and now you should be able to just remove it. And because this is a static sensitive board, we are going to place it in a static shield envelope. If you don't happen to have a static shield envelope, you can just wrap it in a single layer of aluminum foil and that will be fine. And gather up the nuts and the screws and keep them together. And now the main board is out.